It is the show that people love to hate.
Yes, that's true. That's true.
They get so much hate watching viral clips of them saying ridiculous things. I mean, it is a rabies infested hen.
None of it was just due to the fact that she seems like a rather shitty person.
Blake Lively's lawsuit just exploded in her face, and now her entire career is on the verge of collapse. Justin Baldoni has ripped her entire case to shreds in court with undeniable proof, and even Hollywood's biggest names are abandoning her. This is the most humiliating celebrity courtroom disaster ever, and it's only getting worse. Blake Lively and Justin Baldoni weren't just caught up in a petty Hollywood feud. This was a full-blown legal war, and neither of them was willing to back down. It all started when Blake filed a massive lawsuit against Justin, demanding a shocking $250 million. She accused him of harassment, clearly expecting him to crumble under the pressure of such a serious allegation. Maybe she thought the entertainment industry would take her side without question. Maybe she assumed Justin would do what many others have done before, settle quietly and walk away to protect his reputation. But she couldn't have been more wrong. Instead of backing down, Justin fought back even harder. He didn't just deny the accusations, he turned the tables in a way no one saw coming. He hit her with a countersuit, and not just any countersuit. Justin demanded an even bigger amount, $400 million, accusing Blake of defamation, false allegations, and trying to destroy his career with lies. Suddenly, the situation had completely flipped. What started as Blake trying to take Justin down had now become a legal nightmare for her, and things only got worse from there. The court quickly decided to merge both lawsuits into one massive case, making it impossible for Blake to escape the legal storm she had started. This was no longer just a Hollywood scandal playing out in the tabloids. This was a serious courtroom battle that could ruin careers. The stakes were sky high, and every move mattered. From the very first day Blake and her team stepped into that courtroom, it was clear she had lost control. Her lawyers fought hard, filing motion after motion, trying to get the upper hand. But the judge wasn't having any of it. One by one, every single request her legal team made was denied. It was as if the judge was making a statement. Blake Lively wasn't going to get any special treatment just because she was famous. One of the biggest blows to Blake's case came when her team tried to silence Justin with a gag order. They wanted to stop him from speaking about the lawsuit in public, probably hoping to keep the details under wraps and control the narrative. But once again, the judge wasn't on her side. The request was shut down immediately, and the court ruled that Justin and his legal team were completely free to speak openly about the case. That meant that every single detail, every accusation, every piece of evidence, and every shocking twist was going to be exposed for the entire world to see. There was no hiding from this, and then came the most humiliating moment of all. Blake was forced to face Justin's lawyer, the aggressive and highly skilled Brian Friedman, in a brutal deposition. She had done everything in her power to avoid this. Her legal team tried multiple tactics to keep her from having to answer questions under oath, but once again, the judge shut it down. She had no choice but to sit there, face her opponent, and watch as her case was torn apart piece by piece. Blake Lively thought she had this case under control. She believed that once she accused Justin Baldoni of harassment, the industry would automatically side with her. Maybe she assumed Justin would panic, settle quietly, and disappear from the spotlight.
And she's basically saying that she does not want to sit down for a deposition with Brian Friedman. Like, I know that this girl grew up rich and privileged, but how rich we talking? You know what I'm saying? Because does she think she's just like a princess that she can just be like, I don't like your lawyer?
It's part of being in the public eye. She's just used to being Hollywood's golden girl, and she had such thin skin that after having a couple negative things happen to her for a month, she had to blame him. She decided to blame him.
But she never saw what was coming next. Justin didn't just fight back. He came armed with undeniable proof. His 179-page countersuit wasn't just filled with legal arguments, it was packed with hard evidence that tore Blake's accusations apart. There were texts, emails, and even video footage that painted a completely different picture from the one Blake was trying to sell. The documents revealed contradictions so glaring that it became impossible for her to maintain her narrative. One of the most damning pieces of evidence? Blake had claimed she was deeply uncomfortable around Justin, making it seem like he had been inappropriate or threatening. But Justin's legal team produced multiple messages from Blake herself, messages where she praised him, complimented their collaboration, and even joked around with him in ways that completely undermined her claims. And that wasn't all. Some of the very same jokes that Blake later pointed to as proof of Justin's so-called harassment were ones she had participated in herself. Her messages showed her laughing at similar humor, even initiating conversations in the same playful tone that she later used against him. It was pure hypocrisy, and once those messages were exposed, it was game over. At first, Hollywood and the media seemed ready to back Blake without question. After all, she was a beloved A-list actress, and the entertainment industry had a long history of rallying around high-profile women in public disputes. She probably expected that no one would dig too deeply into the facts, that her status alone would be enough to turn Justin into the villain. But the moment the evidence hit the public eye, everything changed. People actually started looking at the details, and what they saw wasn't pretty. And then there was Ryan Reynolds. As Blake's husband, Ryan didn't just stand by her, he fully backed her from the very beginning. He clearly thought that his superstar status, his carefully crafted public image, and the weight of Hollywood power players would be enough to shield them from any serious scrutiny. He probably believed that no matter what, the industry would protect them. But there was one major problem. Justin had the receipts. The moment Justin's evidence went public, everything fell apart. The narrative shifted almost instantly. People who had originally sided with Blake began questioning her. Journalists who had been eager to paint Justin as the bad guy were now scrambling to make sense of the contradictions in Blake's own words. And Ryan, he ended up looking like a complete fool for blindly throwing his support behind a case that was unraveling by the day. And then came the moment that truly sealed the PR disaster: Ryan's appearance on Saturday Night Live. Instead of handling the situation with caution, he decided to turn the lawsuit into a joke. Maybe he thought making light of it would help control the damage. Maybe he thought his charm and humor would be enough to brush off the controversy.
The entire reason we got here was because you tried to play this in the press. Like, you went to the New York Times to try to take him down and to set a public narrative. And now that it's backfiring, you guys went to the New York Times. Oh, nobody could be bigger than the New York Times before you filed your lawsuit, as all of the evidence is indicating, because you wanted to set the public narrative against Justin Baldoni. Now that it's backfiring, you're like, hey, I want people gagged. This is unprofessional to go to the press. Everyone sees right through you and Ryan.
And here's where things get messy. Fans who had once adored him now started questioning everything. Why was he laughing about a case where his wife was supposedly the victim? If Blake had truly been harassed, why was Ryan treating it like a comedy sketch? Instead of making himself look untouchable, he made the situation 10 times worse. Social media exploded with criticism. People began pointing out how tone-deaf Ryan's jokes were. Some even accused him of trying to use humor to deflect from the fact that the case was falling apart. Instead of saving Blake, he had just made everything worse for both of them. Blake Lively thought she had Hollywood in the palm of her hand. She assumed that the moment she made her accusations against Justin Baldoni, the biggest names in the industry would immediately rally behind her. She expected a flood of support from fellow A-listers, heartfelt social media posts defending her, and powerful Hollywood figures standing in her corner. But instead, silence. The reaction, or rather, the lack of it, was deafening. The celebrities she once considered close friends, the ones she had supported in their own battles, were nowhere to be found. Scarlett Johansson? Nothing. Not a single public statement. Taylor Swift? The woman Blake once called her dragon, a fierce protector and one of the biggest stars on the planet? Not even a vague Instagram post. And it wasn't just them. Other Hollywood elites who usually jump at the chance to defend their own were suddenly avoiding the situation altogether. Even the New York Times, one of the first major outlets to push Blake's narrative, was now quietly backing away. They had initially painted her as a victim, publishing sympathetic articles that framed Justin as the aggressor. But once Justin's legal team released hard evidence contradicting Blake's claims, the media's tone began to shift. Other outlets followed suit, suddenly becoming hesitant to cover the story at all. And it wasn't just celebrities and the press turning their backs. Her own fans were starting to question everything. Social media, once a safe space where Blake was adored and celebrated, had become a battlefield. At first, only a few people were questioning her motives. But as more and more evidence surfaced, the floodgates opened. Fans who had once admired her were now realizing the truth. Blake had played the media, manipulated Hollywood, and tried to destroy an innocent man. The backlash was growing by the day. People began digging into past interviews, looking for inconsistencies in her story. Old clips resurfaced, showing moments where she had contradicted herself or painted a different picture of her relationship with Justin. Some even pointed out how quickly she had jumped into the role of victim, despite mounting evidence that she had exaggerated, twisted, or outright fabricated parts of her story. But the most devastating blow wasn't just the public humiliation, it was the potential financial ruin. Blake and Ryan Reynolds have a combined net worth of around $400 million, an amount that once seemed untouchable. Ryan, in particular, has built a reputation as a savvy businessman, investing in highly profitable ventures like Aviation Gin, Mint Mobile, and Wrexham FC. But if Justin wins his lawsuit, that entire empire could come crashing down. Justin's countersuit demands $400 million in damages. an amount so massive that even a power couple like Blake and Ryan would struggle to recover from it. While Ryan's business deals have made him an incredibly wealthy man, taking a financial hit that large wouldn't just drain their savings. It could force them to sell off assets, liquidate investments, and completely change their way of life.
You know, what Ryan Reynolds, has seemingly done, right, is used his power and influence to not only help Blake Lively take over this movie, but, he's used it, on Deadpool and to make fun of Justin Baldoni.
And there's a question about whether he was taking a shot at Justin. Here's the clip.
Sorry about that. Come here, girl. Who are you? Oh, I'm Deadpool. And I guess you're Deadpool too. But in here, everybody calls me Nice Pool. Oh my goodness, wait till you see Lady Pool. She is gorgeous. She just had a baby too, and can't even tell. I don't think you're supposed to say that. That's okay. I identify as a feminist, right?
If your wife is sexually harassed, you don't make fun of Justin Baldoni. You don't make fun of the situation. You take it very seriously.
And the money wasn't even the worst part. Blake's Hollywood career, once seemingly bulletproof, was now hanging by a thread. Winning an Oscar, starring in blockbuster films, working with top directors, none of it mattered if she became known as an actress who lost a massive defamation lawsuit.
We're like, oh my God, there's
And they score again.
no. I feel so nosy.
I know. And my nose is so big.
Yes.
I'm not getting beard on you today.
I'm probably getting credit on you.
It smells good.
Let's score another.
We got plenty.
Yes.
Slow motion. It's going to be a 7.
We've come across evidence that shows that even her own representatives knew that she was threatening and mean and tough and wanted to get her way. This is not something that we wanted out there. It's not something that Justin wanted out there. In fact, it hurts the movie. It doesn't help the movie.
My favorite part of what I've read of this suit so far is that Blake Lively did not even read the book that the movie was based on.
Correct.
And we're not talking War and Peace. This is a book that's probably written at a 2nd grade reading level.
Yeah.
Hollywood thrives on scandal, but one thing it doesn't tolerate: proven liars who cost the industry millions. Studios invest hundreds of millions into their stars, and no executive wants to take a risk on someone whose credibility has been shattered. If Justin wins his case, Blake wouldn't just lose money, she could lose everything. No studio wants to hire an actress who has been publicly exposed for trying to destroy a colleague's career with false accusations. No director wants to be attached to someone who is seen as manipulative and untrustworthy. And no brand wants a spokesperson whose name is trending for all the wrong reasons.
I think you can simply hit up your A-list friends to further enable your abuse. Basically what they are signaling by hitting this carpet and intentionally getting photographed.
What started as a legal battle had turned into a full-blown Hollywood nightmare, one that Blake Lively never saw coming. Blake thought she could play the Hollywood power game and win. Instead, she's losing on every possible front. Her lawsuit has backfired completely, her legal motions were denied, and even her biggest supporters are ghosting her. The worst part? This is only the beginning. The trial hasn't even started yet, and she's already facing public humiliation, financial disaster, and career-ending consequences. And it's only going to get worse from here. Make sure you're subscribed so you don't miss the next update on this insane Hollywood meltdown.